All right, welcome back. I guess by now you know who we have on the show this morning. We have legendary, iconic Orits Wiliki. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice
Good
to
to
be
have
here.
you.
Good morning.
Yeah, good to have
I
you.
grew up using his songs to celebrate my annual birthdays,
Really?
you know. And wow.
Good to know.
One of my favorite songs from him is
Mumbala Mumbu.
I don't know what that meant. I was
Yeah.
singing it, but I didn't know what it meant. What does that even mean? Let's even start.
Mumbala Mumbu was like a combination of three languages, you know.
Okay.
Saying that Mumbala is a Creole language.
Okay.
You know, Creole is just now. Just now, Mube in the future.
Okay.
You know, and so I'm like asking what's the pride of the black man now and even of the future.
Okay.
That if Mongo Park had to decide to tell us his story, we've got to tell our story. Because in his story, he told us he discovered River Niger.
Yes.
But people canoed him there and he met people there. So how do you discover a place that is already in existence? So we've got to tell our story, not his story.
Oh, I like that. I also like I don't know the title of the song, but this
Just hum
this
it.
is the song
We've been waiting for Heart of
to
Stone.
come. Heart of Stone, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so it's so good to have you here.
Same here.
Okay, in recent years, we've been having issues with COSON and the Music Copyright Society of Nigeria.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole lot of mix-up here saying that MCSN do not have the right. But recent news has stated that MCSN has been given right. We just want you to clear some of these things, make it clear to us.
Okay, first of all, let us thank God that we are alive to see the yoke broken.
Okay.
It's been a journey of over 24 years where certain people who, in reality, are not stakeholders. They own no works. If they do, it's not significant to be called a stakeholder or stakeholders.
Okay.
So you begin to wonder, how long can such a people front themselves to deprive the original owners of the works of their own hard-earned sweat? You see people who have worked tirelessly in the industry, making people happy. The only pension we have is the copyright. If I fall down and die today, the best the federal government can do is a condolence message, you know, he was a nice guy and that's all. But because we are not civil servants, we don't earn what we call pension. Copyright is our own pension. And so if you not protect it now, if you die, you're going to die in penury. You live in penury and die in penury. Bob Marley left with about 4-point-something million in his accounts when he died. A year after, he was richer with over $760 million. That's how interesting. Michael Jackson died almost a pauper because everything was almost gone. But you see, after 1 year, he raked in over $2 billion in his estate. So what am I saying? I'm saying that this is supposed to be our own pension. We ought to protect it. But some certain people hijacked it over the years. Let's start by saying that MCSN was registered in 1984. 1984, there was nothing like the Copyright Commission or whatever. A year or two after, we saw the emergence of Copyright Council, Nigeria Copyright Council, and it was a good thing. We applauded it, believing that there is now an intermediary agency where we can make our complaints to for policy and all that, so government can listen to us very well. But little did we know that some people have some hidden agenda to own and control a fresh society away from ours, largely because certain of these people have failed in the quest to join MCSN with such a huge clamor of pride and ego, you know. And we said, no, you follow the due process. You want to become a director of MCSN, you must be a member first. You must contest for an election to be elected as a director. Some of them wanted them to be given on a platter of gold. They left because of that. Luckily, they became one of the directors in the Nigeria Copyright Council then. And so the idea of nursing a fresh society came into their mind, and this they did. And then changed amended the decree to now say if you do not have an approval from NCC, you cannot operate as a collecting society. And so if you want to do that, you must apply. Less than 2 weeks, we applied when we saw the publicity. We thought it was just going to be a matter of formalities. But when we applied, 4 months, 5 months, there was not even an acknowledgement of saying, yes, we received your letters. And saying we heard from the grapevine, listen, you guys are sitting down here. They are forming a new society. We said it's a lie. This is not true. So before you say Jack Robinson, in 1993, they come up with the announcement to say, we now have a new society, a sole approved society called PMRS. And we asked, what did PMRS brought to the table that qualified them over and above an existing society that is one, older than the NCC and older than the so-called PMRS? PMRS existed only in the papers, no structure, no office, and so we said, come on, there are certain requirements that you must meet. One of them is the ownership of large repertoire before the NCC can approve you. So we now ask, we have been assisting with all of the repertoires. What did PMRS brought to the table? Which membership did they bring to the table that made them qualified over and above us? We went to court. The matter was in court for years until we got to judgment in Adeokin. The judgment was simply that we do not need an approval because we are owners, assignee, exclusive licensee. We have not called ourselves a collecting society, all right? And so they said no, that we are doing a job similar to the duties of a collecting society. I said, in banking, you have community banking. What is the essence? You bring in money. Yeah? You save, you protect people's money. You give out loan. It's the same thing as other banks. And so that has not made them non-community bank. So the judge may be similar. We derive our right from the Constitution. So they took the appeal, they took us to court again and said, we must actually get the approval of the NCC before we can operate. Okay. So the judgment was then that, okay, we really want you guys to go back to NCC, apply, and get registered. If you are talking of the issue of constitutional right, you have to go to the lower court to try that, because what is before him, that was what the judgment of the court was. We went back to the lower court, tried it, and we won. It was upheld that we have the right to associate as Nigerians because there are provisions of that in the law. And so they said, no, we must have that approval. Raided our office, in fact, catered away all our working documents. As at when PMRS was still existing, there was nobody I know of a Nigerian musician who said he was a member. They may say, okay, we have members, but who are the members? Do they exist in the air? At the end of the day, the next thing people started doing was they said they want to do a coalition of the Nigerian music industry. And so they want to come up with a new society that everybody can belong to. We said we are not adverse to that, but provided we follow the due process. All right? So copyright matters is not like a social club. They are contractual matters where you must have to follow the due process.
Yeah.
They didn't want this. They said, bring 3 people here, bring 3 people here, we'll become one. I said, no. What happened to all the works of the foreign content that we have legally acquired? We can't explain that by verbal this thing. There has to be what we have. There are due diligence, there are, what do you call it? There's something they call it, I'm not a lawyer, you know, which means that you must come to the table with what your liabilities are and what, you know, you control. They didn't want this, and so the battle continued. They raided our office, blackmailed us. We were now using the NCC because NCC was working hand in gloves with them. So they said we should do a fresh coming together, let us apply. Anybody who wants to continue to do the work for Collective Society, let them apply. We reapplied.
Okay, but sorry to butt in. As it is now, what is the stand now? Of
the stand. That's why I said I thank God we are alive that the yoke has been broken.
Okay.
So having fought this battle, we got judgments upholding our status.
Okay.
NCC complied, give these people their license and let them operate. They refused. We went to the National Assembly. Got to the National Assembly, they carried out an investigative panel, you know, public hearing where everybody was present. And they came up with their own report and resolution that they have heard as NCC. They should go and register MCSN because they have compromised.
But in all of this now, I mean, how does it really affect the Nigerian creative artists and all of that?
Unfortunately, those who are supposed to be the creative artists, they have no interest because they do not really understand how this thing works. Because when we were out there, you know, in the limelight, we forgot that when you lit a candle in the morning, it cannot be in the same length when it comes to the evening.
Yes.
All right? And so people were satisfied with the big name, the shows, the endorsement that was coming in. We never knew there would be a time where you probably will not be getting one show in a whole year.
Okay.
You know?
Okay,
So
you also
right now-
succeeded with another victory in court
Yes.
with another TV, pay TV stuff.
Yes.
Can you just...
8 years ago, we approached MultiChoice that, listen, you have been using our works. We want you to please pay for these works you have been using. They said we are not a collecting society because this has been the normal norm when we demand for payments. We said no. That we are not a collecting society doesn't mean you have the right to infringe on our works. Please, will you please reconcile these anomalies and let us be doing businesses? They said no. Instead, they went to court and sued us. They sued us trying to get a restraining order on us never to ask for our money. So we said, well, this can only happen in Nigeria. We were not scared. We went to court and they lost. When they lost, we now sued them. So the case has been in court for 8 years. 8 years, thank God, to God be the glory, in the course of the struggle. That's why I said the yoke has been broken. We have been given the license. We have a fresh judgment of 3-4 weeks ago, which again upheld that we do not need an approval or a license to operate as an owner, assignee, exclusive licenses. So whichever way you look at it, we are winners.
Okay, so
Now give us our money we have been asking for. They came with all manner of motions, but to God be the glory, judgment came, and we were awarded 5.9 billion naira.
Okay, so talking about MCSN now, does it mean that MCSN and COSON do the same thing? And is it that artists can be registered under these two bodies?
Okay, this is how it works.
Okay.
MCSN can operate side by side. In South Africa, for example, they separated the rights.
Okay.
You have well over 9 rights. Okay, you have the musical works, you have the sound recording rights, you have the broadcast rights, translation rights, and so on. Each of these, according to the Copyright Act, is supposed to have a collecting society. And that is why in abroad, in developed countries like America, Canada, you have over 26, each holding onto a particular right. Now, in South Africa, they separated the sound recording rights from the musical works.
Okay.
And so you can actually belong to both through your recording company, who probably is holding your works under the sound recording rights. But here in Nigeria, we have 2 people now having the right to collect. So you collect only, it's like GSM.
Okay.
If your phone rang now, nobody will tell you it's your phone that is ringing because you know the voice of your handset. All right? And so is the work. So your work, if it's used, it cannot be, never be Orits Wiliki. If I assign my works to COSON, okay, you cannot go and collect Peter's paw and give it to Orits Wiliki for exchange. No, it is those people that have assigned their works to you that you can collect on their behalf. What do we have? When COSON claim they have now all of a sudden become COSON instead of PMRS, they told the whole world that they have a new company. There was no new company. It was just a change of name, and we knew that. Now, you went ahead and be using the so-called government approval to collect money and intimidating people, saying that you represent the entire entertainment industry, and therefore you are collecting on behalf of all. So you have been collecting my money, eating my money. The whole bulk of people under MCSN that are well over 3,000, you have been collecting their money and eating it. And so when we got the approval, I wrote Koson, hello, Chairman, you are in denial because you said we have not gotten approval. Here attached is a copy of it. And I'm seeking for a way of collaboration. We need to build this industry for the good of all. So I'm stretching an olive arm. Let us see how we can collaborate in the area where we think necessary so we can build a stronger and better copyright system in Nigeria. What did I get? Abuses. I got nothing than abuses, and then he said he will ignore my letter. I wrote him, giving him 7 days to please come and account for the monies of my people. You have collected over 7 years. If you don't do this in 7 days, I'm afraid I'm going to head to the courts. He failed. I head to the court, sued him. Now, these are the sequences that played out. When I sued him to come and give an account, he suddenly woke up about 2 weeks after to now know that it was wrong for the Attorney General to have granted us an approval. It is wrong that NCC will obey that. So he started suing everybody except Galaxy. He went to court, sued the Attorney General, sued the NCC that's supposed to be the regulatory body to say that they do not have the right under the law, as if Nigeria belonged to his company or whatever. And so he went to court, and we observed certain things. Those things were one. The same judge who, in the past, we have queried his style of investigations in court, was the same judge they brought us to. So we said, okay, apparently they probably were shopping for a job who can do the dirty job for them. And so in the court, God opened the judge's mouth to say that, oh, you people are here again. And you people petitioned me some time ago. And you think you can come to my court. If you come, appear before me 100 times, and you all know that I will rule against you. We were like, how can a judge be saying this in open court? We now wrote a petition, which is the normal procedure in criminal justice, that we don't have faith in this judge. Please change this judge, take a matter to another place. They queried him. The following day he came to court. I told you guys, yesterday I got a query, but I have my judgment ready. How can you have a judgment ready in a matter you have appeared only once? You have another case of us for over 3 years that has been lying down there, and you have a fresh case that came in less than one appearance, you want to give judgment? So we went back again to the Chief Justice, said, this thing is overbearing, no? This man said he must give judgment next week. So I think through their official whatever, they withdrew the matter from him. Then my brother Tony Okoriji became the chief police of Nigeria. Started abusing all the abusables and the non-abusable. He was saying that the Attorney General was the one who gave such order. The Attorney General has no iota of whatever that happened. Okay. He was doing a one-man riot squad. Thereafter, now I think with his press conference yesterday, he's now talking about the acting Chief Justice. So that's why I said very soon it will be Steve Ojo, our uncle, that he will be crying foul over. So why would somebody be behaving in this manner? Why? Whose interest do you represent? You have run a society you claim you have collected over 500 million all these years on behalf of the entire industry. We, in one case, won 5.9 billion. Instead of you to congratulate us for doing a good job, we went and held a press conference abusing even the judgment, saying that how can a judge in his right senses award 5.9 billion for over infringement, and that's a company that is hiring or that had employed multitude of Nigerians. Are we trying to scare them out of Nigeria? So I now ask, whose interest does Tony Okoriji represent? Is this his personal interest or the interest of the copyright owners that he claimed to represent? So for me, I just say this boy don't crazy.
Okay, sir, but moving on now that MCSN has been granted what they want. This is 2018 and it's a good way to start the year. Let us into the plans for the year.
Let me tell you, MCSN has been the only company with the right structure,
Okay.
MCSN has the wherewithal, you know, to operate a true collecting society. We didn't buy it. It's something we have acquired the experience over the years. Now, when they seized our documents, PMRS was nowhere. Nobody knew about. So we started saying that some of those company secrets that we had in the files that was taken away was what they were now using as PMRS. They know no jack about how copyright works. So they were stealing what our ideas were in our files that NCC took over. That's why we now knew that there was hand in gloves between these two people. So we are a company of records. We are a company of transparency. All right? And now that the trouble or fire is on in Koson, all they are saying is, Oga, come and give account. You have cases to answer in this financial transaction. Instead of answering that, he's distracting people by calling whoever that he likes to calling them out for what?
All right.
So MCSN is out to do a thorough job like it has always done.
Okay.
And it is the only society that has built the copyright system in the entirety of Nigeria. I'll tell you why. Because MCSN over the years have had cases in court that we won and lost. And so if tomorrow comes, there is no case within the copyright law that you are going to take to the court tomorrow without citing MCSN cases.
Okay.
As your...
Okay, we actually pressing for time, but just before we let you go, that I'm sure most of our viewers want to find out what they are expecting from you as a person, because we've not really heard anything from you in recent.
You have not been listening.
Well, maybe I'm just so stuck.
You are too busy. You are too busy.
You know, I'm just stuck.
Okay, what I want you to do is just go to YouTube. I have my official channel there.
Okay.
You have all my brand new releases there. And apparently I'm also working. Like I said, the first day we got the judgment, I got to the studio because I own my own studio. And I said, it is time to go back to work.
Okay.
You know, enough of the distraction of copyright, blah, blah. Now that that is settled, it is time to work.
So we're going to be
I'm sure in the next few weeks, you'll be having a brand new single from me.
Whoa.
I'm a musician.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a jobber.
Okay.
So once the single drops, we want to be the first people to promote.
You can have it. You can have it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir,
bro.
for coming to the show.
Thank you. Bless you.
Appreciate it.
Bless you.
Okay.
All right, it's still Galaxy today. In the past few minutes, we'll be looking at issues surrounding copyright and, of course, artists' benefit in Nigeria. Many thanks to Orits Wiliki for
Thank you
gracing
so
us
much.
this morning. It's still Galaxy today. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.